Hey there, introverts and deep thinkers. Welcome to Introverts Unmuted, the podcast where we prove that quiet doesn't mean invisible and deep thoughts deserve a mic. So get comfy, plug in, let's turn up the volume on our quiet confidence. I'm Amber Hansel, and this is Introverts Unmuted. Today, I have a guest with me. I'm so excited. Danyah is here, and we're going to talk about expanding your personal brand, which I'm all for. So welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited to have you. So you're the founder of Mick Moguls. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's Mike Moguls, and it is a podcasting company built for personal brands. So we are a podcast growth strategy studio. So we work with CEOs and business owners, mainly women, to build their voice and step out from behind their business and start being the face of their business. And yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, and I love that you're doing that because I work with so many women as well. And as an introvert, it's so hard sometimes to come out and be the face of your brand.
Yeah.
So for those that are like, okay, well, I'm kind of out there, but I pull back, what do you feel like you see a lot of, and how do you work with your clients and bringing that forward?
Yeah, I think being introverted is just one part. I think women in business in general, we're living in an ecosystem that's not really built for us. Mm-hmm. Apologies for the dog. He likes to.
All good. I have a puppy, and hopefully she's going to stay quiet in her crate.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, women in business in general, I was just thinking. Women in general are in an industry where it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're leading a business, you're doing something against the grain. And then when you layer being introverted on top of that, it just feels like you're running through peanut butter. And that's why I love podcasting, honestly, is because it gives you the opportunity. If you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be. It gives you opportunity to move a little bit slower, open up, build your brand slowly, and build a really strong foundation. And so one of the statistics I like to say is that we are, as women, 75% roughly of podcast listeners. We are the largest drivers of clicks and purchases based on podcasts, yet we only make up about 29% of hosts. And so it's like, who are you learning your business advice from if you're not learning it from a woman that has come before you? And who are you teaching your experiences to if you're not sharing them in a way that you can pass your knowledge that you're gaining through building this business back to the women behind you? And it's like we're listening to the bro business culture, which is only going to make you feel more guilty and more like you're not doing enough because you're not waking up at 4 a.m. and you're not grinding it out. The reality is, like, women we do business different. And so personal brands are so much more effective for us than they are for men. And they're so much more effective for introverts because you're not naturally going to walk into a room and be like, hey, it's me, like, talk to me about my business. So it's like, how are you creating content that's going to put you in that front center?
Yeah, that statistic is crazy. I hadn't heard that before, and it's a little mind-blowing in the fact of we have so much control over the market, yet we're not hosting. We are not speaking out about it.
Yeah.
And, that's why my podcast is Unmuted, because we need to speak out. Yeah. We need to share. We have so much knowledge and experience, but we think that, oh, well, it's not as good as, well, the dude over there that's working out at 4 a.m. wasn't up all night with the kids, the puppy, then getting ready for work and making lunches and has no idea that the kid has a field trip today and this.
Yeah.
We run not only businesses, we run households, we run other businesses, we run it all. That in itself is powerful, and that is brand.
Absolutely. And I think it's heartbreaking, the idea that we live in a world that automatically discounts that level of behind the scenes labor, that we've actually trained ourselves to discount it.
Yeah.
And this idea that women show up to conversations and they're like, oh, I don't really have the experience, or I'm not someone to influence. And it's like, you are though. Like you're doing 10 times. It's that old adage of like, Ginger Rogers does everything that Fred Astaire does, but backwards in heels. It's like that idea that we're doing it inherently, and we're far more influential. Women biologically, we are the story keepers of our species. And the idea that we've been taught that we're not supposed to share those stories because we're supposed to stay small is wild.
It is so wild. And I was on Threads, scrolling the scroll, and I saw, and someone was like, what should I put on my resume? I'm a mom. And someone commented and said, put that on your resume. That you're a mom, because all those skills are incredible.
I've worked in some of the largest companies in the country. I've worked in startups, and I have never seen someone project manage as well as a mom with 2 small kids that's trying to like pack her diaper bag, and her husband's in the car going, when are we leaving? And her kids are running around screaming. Like, that is project management and time allocation and leadership at its finest. And yet we gloss over it.
Yeah. And that's why, we are such good, quiet leaders, because you don't have to be loud like the bros. We quietly go about things. Everything happens and no one notices. That's leadership, because we are observing everyone else and really coming out. But when we can't be quiet is when we need to sell, when we need to voice our opinion and come out and say it. And that's when it can be done with intention, is going, ooh, when she speaks, it's good.
Yeah. Well, and I think, yeah, absolutely. And I think having content in particular, if you can build a system around you that feels natural to who you are, then all of a sudden it's working with you and not against you. And you're able to show up in a relaxed, very comfortable way. Then all of a sudden you're far more influential, and the sale becomes so much easier. I always tell my clients, especially, I work with a lot of introverted CEOs, and a lot of CEOs are introverted because they're not someone that, you don't go into business thinking I'm going to become a movie star. Like, that's not how it works. And yet we have this dynamic in our business world where you kind of have to step out behind your business. And that's new. That's not something we've ever had to do before. And I talk to my clients, and they really are like, I don't want to be making TikToks and doing dances and talking about these things. And I'm like, then don't. Be authentic to yourself. And if you can build, especially in places like podcasting, you have time to build your foundation. You have time to build your influence. And it's going to be a deeper, more trusting influence. So you won't need to sell as hard, because you're not having to convince someone to buy from you, because they've been showing up every week for the last 6 months listening to your expertise.
Yeah, exactly. And that's in the power of podcasting. And I think we've definitely seen in the last year, do you feel that there's been a huge uptick of podcasts being started? Yeah. I started this podcast in October, so it's still relatively new. And so it's been this, and I keep seeing, I'm starting a podcast, I'm going to start one. And podcast management is now becoming very much something, it was back in the day, it was social media management, which is still very much needed. Now it's podcast management, and people are niching down into different things according to where things are going and how people are evolving in how they want. And how do you feel like, as the uptick of podcasts are happening, how does that make you feel of seeing more people show up in podcasts?
I love it. I mean, our goal as a company is to see 50% of women, 50% of podcast hosts be women. And, we saw the growth. We started in 2021. I was a social media manager prior to this, and I've got a background in 15 years in content creation. And I looked around and I was like, I feel like it's never enough. I'm looking at my clients going, you need to post on stories 10 times a day, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And we need this from you, and we need more content. And I was like, these are business owners. Like, their goal is not to be a content creator. So why am I burning them out with their content creation? And I really stepped back and I looked at what has the most bang for the buck. And so the idea that the industry is shifting in that direction, and it's going to be, I don't know the direct statistic, but it's multiple billions of dollars going into podcasting in the next year. And the idea that we deserve a portion of that market share as small business owners, like, you're going to have the most impact on your direct community. So I love it. And I love seeing all these podcast managers and the idea that, there's an industry here. It's growing, it's young, but it's happening.
Yeah. And it's so cool to see how it's become like its own industry. And, it wasn't really a thing. Yes, there was podcasts, but it wasn't a full-blown industry.
I equate it kind of to like 2012 to 2016 on YouTube. It was like creators on YouTube had been making content for years because they were passionate about it. And then people started, brands caught on and realized that they had the attention of the audience, and they started paying creators. And then all of a sudden creators were like, wait a minute, this can be my job. I just had Megan Tonjes, a classic YouTuber, on my podcast. And it was fascinating. She was like, I just made videos because I loved it and I wanted to hang out with my friends. And it took her into rooms with HBO and these major brands. And we're seeing that same wave coming through podcasting, where people are realizing when you hold attention, especially for as long as podcasting holds attention in the consumer, it's extremely valuable. And where the money follows, the growth happens. So it's cool to kind of watch it happen again.
Yeah, it's such an interesting phenomenon of turning from YouTube and this. And I think YouTube now, with even the podcasting, is continuing because so much, I now put mine on YouTube. I now, and before I was like, why would I do that? Like, or why would I have a podcast or any of that? And now it's like, this is my content. And then I use all of it in my social media. It becomes that first form of content, which is for introverts. We love a good long form, we can write it out. It's like blogging. And I'm glad, people are saying blogging's dead, but it never has gone away.
Yeah.
Never has left. And I think with podcasting alongside it, it's so powerful.
Well, and we need to stop saying things are dead. Things are cyclical. And the concept that we believe that what's new now and what's exciting now has never been new or exciting before. You can track media trends all the way back to I was just listening to a video about the Gutenberg press. It's like all the way back. It was like they thought back then when we were printing books that it was going to destroy the world because people were going to learn to read and revolt and all this stuff. And it's like, it gave forth to so much of a new generation. You're playing the same game, you're just playing it on a different field. And if you can learn to start identifying those trends, especially as someone that wants to be efficient with your content, and that's where I think introverts really shine in efficiency, because you don't have unlimited energy to put out there. And so blogs, podcasts, YouTube, long form content that you can then, like you said, cut up and repurpose on other platforms is the most efficient way for you to create content and to build your brand. And if you can start looking at those cyclical trends, you can identify them sooner, hop on trends faster, and execute with more ease. That's the goal. We don't want to be running around having to make 50 pieces of content every single day. I'm good.
Yeah, I do not have time or energy for that. So speaking of getting on the trends kind of early, where do you like go, or how do you find out like what is?
Yeah, I think that, it depends on how you learn, how you find trends. I mean, I could tell you, I consume a lot of media, and that's not necessarily the most healthy thing for someone that it's not their job. So I don't recommend it to people. But finding a couple experts that you trust always and watching their content is helpful. But also just looking at your trends throughout the day. Like, how has your daily action shifted? You know, 4 years ago, we weren't waking up and turning on TikTok. Like that
Yeah.
loop hadn't been built yet.
Mhm.
And so if you can identify within yourself the places that you're being, Substack right now is huge because people are wanting to go back to that newsletter blogging platform. They're so overstimulated by all the video that they want to read it and they want to consume it slowly. So it's like, if you're a writer, now is a great time to start building that off-platform community. And then also just I've been personally looking at, I'm 35, so I'm getting to that phase in my life where I'm realizing that you get to look back, you reach your 30s and you're like, oh, okay, I've seen this before. So like looking at global events and being like, okay, I lived through 2008 recession. I was just getting out of college and I'm going, okay, if we're looking at an economic downturn or we're looking at, global distress, what does that look like for my business? What does that look like for my content? How do I need to show up in that way? And how did people do it 20 years ago when they went through it?
Yeah.
And how can I take that and update it onto the field that we're playing on now?
Yeah. And I think as introverts, we're so good at reflecting and looking back. And I love how, I'm 37, going to be 38 this year. So
You look great.
the denim, thank you. The denim mini skirts coming back and all, fashion trends coming back. I'm like, you won't catch me in a low rise pair of jeans ever again.
Yep.
I'm like, the tube tops can stay over there and we ain't going to do it. But how can I take that and go, hey, I'm going to use this, And I think that's where our experience, once again, we go back to, we have lived experience. We have lived through a lot. As millennials, oh man, help us all, because we have been through it. Okay. Our parents don't know anything. We have really just seen a lot happen in the world in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Well, we're also a generation that was taught, even Gen Z, and I actually really love Gen Z. I don't have any issues with that generation. But we are a generation that came about in the shift of technology. So naturally, we're more observant, we're more adaptive. And because we had to, you were getting major technological shifts very quickly at a prime time in our life. And so inherently, if you're a millennial business owner, you're going to look at the problems that you're facing in a very different way. And you see it a lot in managers being like, I don't understand why my Gen Z workers are coming to me without solutions. It's like, well, that's not what they're paid for. You just do that inherently because we had Google and we were taught how to do those things. We were taught by the boomers of, I don't want to hear your problems. I want to hear your solutions.
Yeah.
And so it's how we address problems that makes us such powerful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. We have solved problems after problems and problems. So I'm raising Gen Alpha kids, the generation after. Whew, it's wild, they're like 7 and almost 10 now. And so it's electronics, at 2. Yes, my kid had a tablet at 2, because guess what? That's the generation.
And they're so good at it.
Oh my gosh. It is
wild.
Scary.
It's almost like it's embedded in them. I'm like, watching a little kid that can barely walk, and they're just like, boop, 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 YouTube. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, they can find anything they want. And I'm like, okay, but then it's teaching them how to harness that. Yeah. Where can you go with that?
Yeah.
How can you utilize that power that you have and, put it out into the world.
Well, and
And
how do you
so
not
it's
abdicate your brain
Mhm.
to things like AI and YouTube and all of these
Yeah,
places? Like, how do you use it as a resource and not a crutch?
exactly. And it's really, and time limits have been the biggest thing.
Really?
And it's because they get sucked in. Just
Mm-hmm.
like we get sucked in, you can't let them because their brain is so mushy. It's not developed. And so if you let your kids sit on YouTube for hours at a time, and a lot of time right now, they're watching YouTube shorts, that dopamine level is high.
Yeah. Yeah.
So making sure
Wow.
that, there's not like unlimited screen time
Yeah. Well, I also
because
think
they
like
won't regulate.
it, you bring up such a good point around short content. It's like
Mhm.
all of us, it's
Mhm.
such fast content that it just feeds all of that. It's a bite of junk food. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And your brain goes, yes. And that's
yeah,
what makes it so dangerous. Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Wow. I don't
absolutely.
envy people raising kids in this era. Like, I'm like, you guys
It's
go forth, please. Just bring in a generation that is equipped for this world.
I know. And that's the thing. It is a challenge. And creating that short content is, you're going to get the views, but you notice that the engagement is not necessarily always there because they're on the scroll. So they're not stopping.
Well, and I think it's hilarious. We used to play this game pre-social media where you would watch a really engaging commercial and then you'd look at the person next to you and say, what company made that commercial? And they'd have
Mhm.
no idea. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, if someone's watching and consuming your content, but they don't remember your name, which is pretty common on social
Mhm.
media, you're just wasting your time, especially as someone. It's one thing if you're a content creator and the views are driving your dollars.
Yeah.
But if you're a business owner, you have to build that impact in a way that is building that connection and is building that trust. Because somebody who doesn't remember your name, that has watched 50 of your videos that you put time and effort and
Uh-huh.
energy into, isn't going to buy from you. And we wonder why we see, like, as soon as Reels came out, it suddenly became a lot more difficult to sell on Instagram. When you think
Mhm.
about the historical content creators, like business owners, like Jenna Kutcher,
Mhm.
she's a great
Yeah.
example. She doesn't make a lot of Reels because
No.
she knows they don't work in
Yeah.
moving the needle towards a customer acquisition.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, but it gives you that good dopamine. You get the
It
good,
does.
oh my gosh, I
It
got
does.
100 views. And it's like, okay,
Ooh.
cool. But like, is that paying your light bill? Because it's not.
Yeah. Exactly. And you'll notice certain times too. Like I know if I post like a fun reel that I know I want just views on or, new followers, I'll post it on a Friday night
Yeah.
or on a you pick your times. Then the rest of the times when, people are talking about engagement, I'm like, no, it's my static posts and my carousels. That's where the engagement and the comments are. Because how many times when you're scrolling, do you actually read the caption of a reel
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a TikTok?
I mean,
You
YouTube's
don't.
a perfect example. You were talking about YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
YouTube has literally, it hides. It
Hmm.
hides the description. So when
Yeah.
we post YouTube Shorts, we use that as an SEO opportunity with the expectation that the client is never going to read it, or the viewer.
Yeah.
And they have done something where in YouTube Shorts in the back end, when you post a short, you can link to the longer video. And that's where the engagement comes through, is people, if they like the topic, they click to the longer video, they watch the video, and then they leave a comment. So it's just
Yeah.
reinforcing. Like, YouTube's done a lot of smart things with their short form platforms.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I see people writing novels in their captions, and I'm like, I hope that is extremely SEO optimized, because most people, if I open a YouTube or an Instagram caption and
Mhm.
it's 6 paragraphs, my brain goes, next. And I know it's probably valuable and it's probably beautiful, but we're so overwhelmed.
Yep. And we are. And I think that's why also Instagram introduced Threads.
Mm-hmm. I
Because
love
that,
Threads.
no,
I love Threads way more than I ever loved Twitter.
Yeah. And that's where it is at, because people want to read. I get annoyed when people add a picture because I'm like, hey, you just ruined my vibe. I can't do this. And it's about reading. We're not looking at their name. We don't always do that. And so I actually have started doing that over on Instagram. I go through my home feed. I don't look at the top. I just click on the caption and read. And I don't see who it is, and then I comment.
Oh, I love that.
Do I do this
That's
all the
so
time?
Interesting.
No, I don't do it all the time. But when I do, you guys, the engagement back and just the genuine conversation that you can have on Instagram, if you treat it like Threads, just read the text. People put in text. If they don't put in text, then we'll just keep scrolling. But,
well, and
read the text.
I've been advising a lot of people on how to get guests on their podcast, because it is how to get guests on their podcast and then also how to get on more podcasts, because they are the two kind of avenues of true networking as a business owner nowadays. And it comes through Instagram and Threads, and people think I'm crazy, but it's like you're saying, Instagram's not getting the engagement it got 10 years ago. So when you comment on someone's post, as long as it doesn't have 5,000 comments, the likelihood that that person is going to see it, interact with it, and you have a direct access point to them is really high. And it's even higher on Threads, because you can literally go in, comment on their stuff, and it goes back to that like early Gary V Twitter tactic of the idea of like, you have a direct access point to these people because they're over there and they're not getting a ton of responses. They're not getting a ton of interaction. So it's quiet and you're not fighting against the noise. And you can roll into the DMs of your favorite coach or your favorite, whoever, and be like, hey, I have a podcast. I'd love to have you on. And most people, I always say, people would rather give you an hour of their time on a podcast than 15 minutes in a meeting.
Absolutely. I'm just like, no, I don't do calls. Oh, you want me on your podcast? Yes.
Yeah,
I will do that.
And that goes all the way up. The CEO of Netflix and crazy, crazy things, they will get on a podcast. They will not take a call. Exactly.
And, I get messages going, hey, so-and-so, you should be on her podcast. This guest would be great for your podcast. I commented on someone's thread and now there are people under that, right?
That's how we found each other.
Exactly, and so your comments on Threads are more powerful than the content that you post.
Yeah.
Because they prioritize the engagement right now.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, you get to be yourself, you get to be your brand, you get to be in front without really being in front.
And if you're gonna post on Threads, for every post that you make that is a comment or an idea or an insight or a thought, you should post something that is gauging your audience. What do you think about this? Where are these people at? How about this? Give people the opportunity and the forum to have that engagement on your page. And then you curate it. It's like you're throwing the party and everyone else is meeting in your comments. But that's counterintuitive. A lot of people think that platforms like that are for you to share your expertise, and they are. But your expertise is far more useful in the comments of somebody else's post. And your post should be trying to engage those kinds of conversations.
Yeah. And I think if we take that even across onto Instagram, LinkedIn too, because LinkedIn's very powerful with those comments. So we have to remember that, when people are like, oh, my engagement, I'm like, well, you're not commenting. You are not engaging. So why do you think other people would engage with you?
A fun thing I just learned about LinkedIn. I was talking to, oh my goodness, I don't know her last name, but her name is Leah, and she's British and she's a LinkedIn expert. And she's incredible. So spicy. I love it. But she was saying that LinkedIn actually ranks the quality of your interaction. So similar to like on TikTok where you see everyone be like, engage from the bottom up. If you're going in and you're interacting with a LinkedIn post, you want to do a comment first. You don't want to do like the clap or the heart or any of those things because they are ranked lower in the engagement score. And so if you can go in and drop your comment and then react, you'll actually be able to help and curate your feed better so that you're seeing more content that you actually want to see from people that you actually want to engage with.
Yeah. And I
random little tip that I just learned.
Yeah. But no, I actually do that without even knowing that. But I love that because it's so true is that we need to curate our feeds.
Oh yeah.
And you know, when we own a podcast too, we get to do that. You get to choose the guests who get to be on. You get to choose the topics that you get to speak on. And you know, my solo episodes are short because I just go. They're like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well,
because it's like, boom, here you go.
No, absolutely. And your instincts are so spot on there because, you know, we started in 2021. And since then, we've had 4 of our clients hit top 100 in places like finance, entrepreneurship, places that are majorly male dominated. We've brought in over 25 million views. We've gotten 8 million downloads on shows. Like the numbers are there, and we're just now being able to curate how we're doing these things and to assist them. And we call it the mic method. And I promise this has a point. So the mic method is M for messaging. You need to know what you're talking about before you start your podcast. You need to then, once you know what you're showing up as, who you are, you need to assess your identity. And this is, you know, it's a touchy subject, but the world is going to see you in a specific way. If you are a 6-foot jacked dude versus a 5'2" blonde woman, the audience is going to engage with you differently. If you're an introvert versus an extrovert, if you're monotoned, if you're whatever it is, you want to go out and you want to see how the audience is accepting you. And that's your identity. Then you go in and you optimize for your conversions. That's what you're doing here. Is you're looking at your success of your podcast and you're saying, I see higher views on conversions on my solos when they're shorter and they're more to the point. We have entire podcasts that are doing, we just launched a podcast all around, it's called The Kindness Extremist. And he is, I like to say, like Miss Rachel for entrepreneurs seeking civility within the workforce, because we're seeing such divisiveness in our world that it's kind of seeping into our workplaces. And he's been live for 2 months. He just hit 5,000 downloads. And it's because he came in with a very clear message, a very clear understanding of the identity, and we gave him a very clear understanding of the conversion rate. All of his episodes are 20 minutes and they're solo. And it's like, he knew, he came in and was like, people keep telling me solo podcasts don't work. And I'm like, it depends on who you are. Your solo podcasts work. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're curating them to be short and actionable and valuable. So if you're starting a podcast and your gut tells you to do something and you are being told over and over and over not to do it, you should do it anyways. Yeah, and then
exactly.
The key point here is that you should do it and then you should measure it. This is where people go wrong. They do 200 episodes and they look around and they go, why is nobody listening to my podcast? And it's like, because on episode 12, someone left a comment and a review saying that your audio is terrible, or, you know, you ramble too much in your intro. And instead of listening and measuring and tracking that feedback, you just kept going. And so it's like you identifying that your solos need to be short and actionable is that process.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I did my first 25 episodes and then I took a week off and I was like, hey, what's going on?
Good for you.
And
I love that.
And then I'm now like, this is my second season. I'm going to do 25 episodes. And then I'm going to be like, hey, I changed my intro. I did a few tweaks here and there. And then I'm going to see, okay, what's going on? And I think it's that self of going, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the messy work. And then I'm going to go, hey, okay, what worked? What didn't work?
Yep.
and strategize with it, because yeah, you can get on and talk and talk and talk all you want and do this, but if there's nothing coming back, then you're like, what's going on?
If your message isn't locked in, you don't know who you are and what you want to be in the world, you can't do the other two steps. Yeah. You can't identify, because the message is such a foundational part. Because, like, for example, you believe very heavily in giving resources and opportunities to introverted entrepreneurs. That is such a beautiful message and a beautiful pursuit, that your identity within the world can look different. You can rebrand, you can change, but that foundation, that core of your message is going to match here. It's going to match on Threads. It's going to match in your email list. It's going to be the lifeblood that you pull into 6 other platforms that we've never heard of yet. And if that is the number one thing people are missing in their podcasts, is it's all these people being like, oh, me and my friend, when we've had a couple glasses of wine, we're great. We should definitely have a podcast. And it's like, okay, maybe you guys are hilarious, but why are you doing the podcast? Like, what is the purpose behind it? Mm-hmm. And if you can nail that, it's the hardest question to answer. But if you can nail it, growing your podcast becomes exponentially easier, and it becomes a resource to your brand rather than an energy suck.
Yeah, exactly. And if it starts feeling like an energy suck, that's when you need to step back and go, okay, what's going on?
100%.
And look at it. And it's okay to take breaks. I think people forget that it's like, oh, well, I'm going to lose everything. Well, no, it's still out there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of long form content, especially things like YouTube and podcasts, is because right now YouTube's algorithm will push your content forever. You will get views on YouTube videos you posted 3 years ago. The same as if you were still marketing the podcast on your Instagram, on whatever, it could be a podcast that you did 2 years ago. And I actually encourage podcasters to do that. Harken back to your early episodes, because if someone found you on episode 50, the likelihood that they're going back to episode 4 is very low, but there could be a nugget of knowledge in there that they really need. And so if you're curating a podcast and something major comes up in the news and you're like, oh, I interviewed that guy and he talked about this, throw it up on your stories. Be like, hey guys, I don't know if you saw this, but on episode 4 of my podcast, we had this person and this is so timely. Or, you know, you're launching a new product and someone came on and talked about copywriting or whatever it was. It's okay to reshare your stuff, and you will continue to drive resources and responses from your content well into the future. Unless you are a like daily news podcast, you have longevity there.
Absolutely. I definitely agree that the longevity is so important to us, to our energy levels. And as the whole world changes, sometimes we just need something that we know is going to be there.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. So what have you been working on lately? Where can we find you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually this week getting ready to launch a new product where geared very much towards the solo podcaster. It's all built around AI. So we took our systems and our processes that, as a major agency that works with 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, we took all that and we trained AI GPTs on it, so that someone that can't afford to hire a full production team can actually get the benefits of SEO and titling and all of those things without using a bunch of their energy. And so we're launching that this week. I'm really excited about it. And other than that, I mean, I'm just nose to the grindstone. I'm enjoying, getting to, I love my job because I get to be a fly on the wall and listen to these like incredible conversations from people that are immensely passionate about what they do. And I just get to be there and just listen and like amplify their voice. So that's where we're at. And if you want to follow me, my name's a little funky. It's Danyah Aossey, DANYAH AOSSEY. Little weird, but it means that I get the handle on everything. So it's
Yeah.
just my name everywhere.
I will have it all linked in the show notes that yes, I use AI to help me curate all my show notes and all my stuff because I do it all myself. So I definitely probably will be checking out your new product because
Thank you.
Yeah, there's so much.
It's a lot. I don't think people realize how much goes into curating and building a podcast. Like, I have so much respect for the solo podcasters out there because you guys are grinding.
Yeah, I do very minimal, not gonna lie. And you know what? It works for me and I go for it. And we'll just see, like I said, messy action. So thank you so much for coming on. I will have everything linked in the show notes. And yeah, you guys go follow Danyah and check her out.
Thank you.